What is up, guys? Today we're reacting to Instagram is everything wrong with society. Check it out.
Instagram isn't the app that you think it is. At the start, we all thought this innocent little app was just a place to share photos of our hobbies, travels and friends. It was seen as one of the most innovative and wholesome apps in the social media space. But then, Instagram slowly turned into everything it sought to destroy, becoming widely regarded as one of the worst social media sites in history. And now today, as you watch this video, Instagram has corrupted our culture, our society and our minds. But not just because of its effects on our mental health, it's actually one of the main causes of our society's degeneracy, debauchery and fakery. Since its inception in 2015, the platform has undergone significant changes. Initially, we were all ignorant to the ominous obstacles and manipulative dangers that awaited us. It was unimaginable that Instagram would one day evolve into a platform that allows individuals to actually advertise their services and partake in glorified prostitution. Since its inception back in 2010, Instagram has given birth to a whole host of problems, some of them more obvious and apparent than others. And one particular trend that is synonymous with the platform is atmospheric modeling, a dark phenomenon that deserves to be discussed in great detail. Atmosphere modeling is yet another symptom of how corrupt our society has become. Women are being paid simply to exist and grace parties and nights out with their presence. Either hired by the clubs directly or for private events through an agency, these girls will show up to any event, party all night long and pretend to enjoy themselves. But of course, it doesn't stop there. This dark industry is full of bloodlines and exploitation. It seems ridiculous in one way for people to pay so much for what seems like so little, but the whole industry sprang out of the various services offered to VIPs at high-end nightclubs, bars and casinos. Millionaires and celebrity clients, also known as whales, would routinely drop hundreds of thousands on one night of overpriced champagne and debauchery. And with so much money and nothing to do with it, these people were only interested in one thing, the experience. Whichever high-end club could offer everything they wanted would get their massive check at the end of the night. One of these clients was Tiger Woods, whose behavior was pretty typical for a whale. At his club of choice, the Bank, he'd come in with his entourage and they'd be given a table on a balcony. If he spotted a table of girls he liked, then they'd be invited by the club to join him for the night. They'd drink for free, flirt with him, and possibly go a few steps further. Tiger Woods, or whoever the client was, would effortlessly get access to beautiful women, and the club was happy because the girls would only add to the bill at the end of the night. If a client wanted more than just companionship, then that could be arranged as well. And then other women not specifically on the club's payroll would be invited up to the table and later go home with the client. But where there's money and profit, there's competition and development, and it didn't take long for this process to get industrialized and economized by the clubs through people called promoters. They would act like procurers, recruiting young women, training them and connecting them with wealthy clients. Fast forward to today and these promoters have created entire agencies dedicated to atmosphere models. Part of their business is hiring out girls to private parties. For exorbitant fees, they'll send however many girls you need to add social proof and pose for pictures at the event of your choosing. There are the clients of the clubs and casinos themselves. Girls will be hired out to dance and have a good time and generally make the club look better. For the girls, there are clear benefits to the job. They don't have to work really, just drink and have fun. Unlike regular modeling, it's much less competitive, although the bar for entry is still high. If you don't have the right luck with your genetics, it'll be tricky to ever get a job. It's also a great way for these women to meet rich men and possibly form a connection. And if your goal is just to become a trophy wife, then atmosphere modeling is the right calling for you. But this industry is even more seedy and dangerous than regular modeling, and it's being largely created by Instagram. You see, in our image-focused society, it's no surprise that atmosphere modeling has taken off in such a huge way recently. It began with whole families of celebrities that are only famous for their looks and their image. Then it got globalized with influencers and Instagram models, an entire industry based on visualizing a fantasy. And atmosphere models are just another aspect of this. It's not an industry that anyone wants to publicize too greatly. If everyone knew how widespread it is, then it would severely damage a club or client's reputation. All the influencers you'd see online on Instagram would just seem like absolute jokes, having paid so much for these girls to be there. When they're working, atmosphere models won't ever tell you that they're only there because they're being paid. To do so would break the carefully created illusion of a good time. Even then though, parties full of atmosphere models can be pretty awkward. While everyone might be smiling for the picture on Instagram, in reality they're all watching the clock and waiting for their shift to end. And this leads to a ton of dark situations, as these men are usually under the impression that these women are actually interested in them and they'll get overly aggressive or even predatory. If the women don't have thick skins and the ability to push back, it can put them in some really dangerous situations. It's modeled further by the bloodlines that underpin the industry. Sometimes it's hard to tell where being an atmosphere model ends and where being an escort begins. For most of the night, their job is exactly the same. Simply show up, laugh at the client's jokes and have a good time, or at least pretend like you are. But often clients will offer large amounts of cash, private holidays, or anything else you can think of to these girls in return for certain favors. And these girls are always poached and recruited from apps like Instagram. And of course, many of these girls find themselves enslaved and abused. In Madrid, it recently emerged that a number of girls, many of whom were minors, had received offers either at nightclubs or through social media platforms like Instagram, asking them to become high-class escorts. The authorities uncovered a total of 18 women who were enslaved by this organization, which had been active in Madrid for well over a year. But it's not just as escorts. We're seeing all over Instagram more and more guys on yachts in Dubai who have a whole harem of women around them. But have you ever actually wondered, why are these girls there? How did they find this man? And why are they with him? Well, it's usually because he's paying a fortune for them to actually be there in terms of luxury hotels, airplane tickets, and a whole host of other indirect payments, allowing these men to say they didn't pay these women to be there, even though they indirectly shelled out tens of thousands of dollars for them to be there. And of course, it's the same with clubs, like I already mentioned earlier, where these girls will often earn up to $4,500 per night, persuading rich attendees to purchase champagne bottles. As shown in the book Very Important People, Status and Beauty in the Global Party Circuit, clients regularly get girls to consume alcohol against their will, especially if they appear to be lacking enjoyment in these clubs with these old men. But of course, these girls aren't just appearing out of thin air. They must first promote themselves, putting themselves into the virtual world in order to be recognized, rewarded, and more often than not, exploited. Enter Instagram, the app that helped launch 1,000 careers and 100,000 horror stories. Before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor, Candlestick AI. You see, investing is hard, so let AI lend a hand. You see, AI is becoming more powerful, more useful in different areas. According to this Daily Star report, influencers will go one step further and actually ingest the feces of wealthy men.
There's dudes that are like, you're gonna eat this specific shit, then you're gonna shit this. Oh my God. And I'm like, wait, this is like a 3-day process.
One influencer who was flown to Dubai to sell her dignity in return for a fat paycheck commented on a situation involving a room she was escorted to that was empty except for buckets and sex toys. Men entered the room and the guards were instructed to strip. The influencer said she watched in horror as a German man walked over to a bucket and took a shit before he hand-fedded it to a girl. One girl had the contents of the bucket stuffed up her. She ate a solid piece of
bro. Nah. Like, why are you guys eating poop? These people are just stupid. These people are just stupid.
Shit. Girls had to slide across the floor on their stomachs licking up shit. There were human centipede actions. Others, meanwhile, according to this report, are paid more than $5,000 per week to have sex with animals, including the pet dogs of affluent Dubai-based males. And Instagram is used as the tool to lure people under these false pretenses, making them seem like they're just coming for a modeling gig and then ending up in these debauched acts with no escape, with fellow countrymen and women being used to gain the trust of the victims by sharing positive stories about life in the UAE before trapping them in prostitution rings. And yet all of this stuff is never really looked into by Instagram, or even ever spoken about on YouTube. But it gets even worse because Instagram is even used for child sexual exploitation or sexploitation. Tech companies, including Meta, owner of Instagram, face a significant challenge in combating child sexual exploitation.
Is that there's a huge network of what we call self-generated CSAMs. This is self-generated child sexual abuse material. These are teenagers who are putatively selling their own imagery and videos effectively as a commercial business that they have set up on a variety of platforms. And while there are a bunch of companies involved, Instagram turns out to be probably the most key one.
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime has identified apps like Instagram as a digital hunting field used by human traffickers to target both potential victims and customers, with a particularly disgusting focus on children. A report from the US-based nonprofit organization, the Human Trafficking Institute, revealed that in 2020, Facebook, Insta's sibling, and Instagram itself were the most commonly used platforms by sex traffickers to groom and recruit children. Now, it is important to distinguish between grooming and child sex trafficking, as they are separate actions often discussed in conjunction. Grooming is the manipulation of a victim before their exploitation. On the other hand, the trafficking actually involves the sexual exploitation of a child as part of a commercial transaction.
This mistake is costing Amazon Prime shoppers big. Are you
transaction. And while people commonly associate trafficking with the movement of victims across borders or within a country, international law actually defines the term more broadly. It encompasses the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain labor or engage in non-consensual sex acts, regardless of whether travel is involved. And since children can't ever legally consent to any form of sexual activity under international law, individuals who profit from or pay for a child's sexual acts, including the distribution or purchase of sexually exploitative images, are considered human traffickers. And Instagram has helped and continues to help these vile humans.
You see, Instagram and Facebook have become digital hunting fields. Sex offenders look for both potential victims and customers on these platforms. They find vulnerable children and start sending them messages.
Santa Cruz County man has been arrested, charged with using social media to try and lure young girls for the purpose of having sex with them.
The Journal reports that Instagram has been connecting and promoting a vast network of pedophilia. Researchers within the Wall Street Journal's investigation found that the platform enabled users to search for hashtags and recommended accounts related to buying and selling child sex material.
Facebook and Instagram, as per The Guardian, have become major sales platforms for child trafficking. Of course, the UAE is not the only Gulf country using Instagram for nefarious purposes. There's also Saudi Arabia, a truly horrendous place that I've also discussed before. Instagram influencers' endorsement of government-funded trips to Saudi Arabia, a country known for its numerous human rights violations, is particularly disturbing. This Gulf kingdom, led by the authoritarian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, aims to transform its image from a conservative and oppressive regime that crucifies people to a thriving cultural center. And to achieve this, he and his cronies pay celebrities to visit the country. On a weekly basis, one agency alone, according to a recent Airmail report, takes approximately 10 to 20 influencers to Saudi Arabia. The carefully created Instagram posts refrain from addressing any instances of human rights violations, such as beheadings and crucifixions, women seeking refuge due to domestic violence, or Saudi Arabia's military campaign in Yemen, which has been identified by the UN as the root cause of the most severe humanitarian crisis globally. Interestingly, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, the Public Investment Fund, has acquired a sizable stake in Meta, Instagram's parent company. In short, everything an Instagram influencer poses about Saudi is a lie, and Instagram is used as the perfect tool for propaganda, or as the Saudis would like to call it, public relations, which really shouldn't be much of a surprise. After all, most of these influencers have built their entire lives around falsehoods and fabrications, and they would sell their soul for anyone. No matter how oppressive and bad the country is, people can be paid just thousands, given a nice hotel, and they'll do anything to praise the country. And the fact that the Saudis are trying to buy up as much as Meta as possible shows how truly dangerous Instagram is for our culture. And some people on Instagram are starting to catch on to this. Some of these Instagram models' followers are aware of this fabricated image, but others aren't. And that's because many of them don't even exist. They're phantom followers, as fake as the influencers promoting the supposed beauty and brilliance of Saudi Arabia. And thanks to the likes of TikTok and Instagram, the two most popular social media sites, and influencers have become increasingly valuable tool for marketers. Major brands and agencies invest billions of dollars in leveraging the followers of these influencers to boost engagement rates. Social media influencers with a large following or dedicated community can earn substantial profits from their posts or by participating in activities like affiliate marketing. But what if I was to tell you that many of your favorite influencers never really earn their following? They purchased it. And some individuals who claim to be influencers are simply seeking to create the illusion of a luxurious lifestyle rather than actually living it. This deceptive behavior has become a significant concern as the popularity of social media influencers continues to grow. In fact, recent research shows that a staggering 49% of Instagram influencers engaged in follower fraud. This data, combined with the findings that 1 in 4 influencers purchased 15% of their followers and 3 in 4 influencers purchased over 10,000 followers, highlights the extent of this issue. Almost every major celebrity has fake followers now. You can guess at least half of their followers aren't even real, but this is all used as social proof. And regardless of the credibility of these followers, it makes people's profiles appealing to brands who are seeking influencers to collaborate with, and also can be used for nefarious purposes, to convince people that these Instagram stars are legit and that they are trustworthy. And the fakeness of Instagram is now having real-world consequences. It's ruining lives. You see, Instagram has in recent times evolved from a platform for sharing pictures to a platform for self-promotion. This transition has allowed girls as young as 14 to capitalize on their popularity. However, in order for a girl to achieve enough social recognition to earn substantial income on Instagram, she must be willing to compromise her integrity and basically sell her soul for superficial gains. This includes posting pictures of herself in underwear and conforming to the adult entertainer chick aesthetic by posing in a hypersexualized, extremely suggestive manner. In essence, these girls, many of whom are teenagers, have essentially become adult workers. And once a girl amasses a significant number of followers on Instagram, she can then become an influencer and collaborate with various brands. In some cases, chases a goal, becomes her own brand, and solely markets herself. An example of this is Piper Rockell, a 16-year-old who has been in the business since the age of 14, gaining fame by posting provocative pictures, earning her thousands of dollars every month at the age of 16. In truth, Instagram has become the go-to place for most teenagers around the world to either model themselves, start an adult entertainment career, or just to be used as a dating app. And this has, rather understandably, drawn concern from concerned parents and commentators. At the same time, it's drawn attention from dangerous individuals, including kiddie lovers and other perverted monsters. As the Wall Street Journal has reported, Instagram doesn't just cater to illicit content involving children, it actually facilitates the connection between kiddie fiddlers and content sellers through its recommendation systems. Merely coming into contact with an account within Instagram's kiddie fiddler community can actually trigger the platform to start suggesting that users join it. In their research, the investigators discovered that Instagram allows people to search for explicit hashtags like pedo whore and preteen sex, which then connect them to accounts promoting the sale of child material. The threat to kids doesn't even end there. Even mothers, consciously or otherwise, are putting their children's well-being at risk. And to be clear, a very specific type of mum is doing this, the mumfluencer. Now, although influencers are nothing really new, the rise of mumfluencers is a very recent trend, not to mention a disturbing one. The mumfluencer is a hyper-artificial construct, a fabrication created by individuals, technology firms, and consumer brands as a means of earning a livelihood through social media. And mumfluencers have become a lucrative industry for advertisers, given that women predominantly make household purchasing decisions, and these influencers regularly hawk stroller, cooking utensils, and children. You see, these accounts have a substantial number of followers. The individuals who own these accounts are primarily mothers who use their children as the main focus to promote themselves and their products. These accounts have faced repeated criticism for showcasing their children, often in provocative ways. These influencers share numerous photos of their unconsenting kids with their thousands, even millions of followers. The images are online for everyone to see, including the creeps who take them and share them on illicit online forums. These forums are frequented by the worst types of people who exchange and distribute links to these darknet pages amongst themselves, and there's a huge amount of evidence indicating that images of children from prominent mumfluencer accounts resurface on the darknet, making Instagram the key platform for where these images easily proliferate, as they are so readily available there. And unfortunately, numerous parents fail to consider the potential repercussions when showcasing their children. Anything for an easy dollar, it seems. But it's not just mindless mums thirsty for clicks that are endangering children. The makers of Instagram are too. You see, in 2020, Instagram introduced Reels, basically making TikTok just another copycat of TikTok, making this platform even worse. But it's not just because of these short, instant gratification addictive videos. Another investigation conducted by the Wall Street Journal also revealed that Instagram's Reels service recommends explicit and inappropriate content involving children. Now, the purpose of this investigation was to observe the type of content that the platform suggests to accounts primarily following young gymnasts, cheerleaders, and other teen and preteen influencers. The Wall Street Journal initiated this test after noticing that many subscribers to these accounts were adult men who had shown interest in sexual content related to both children and adults. Throughout the testing process, the Wall Street Journal claims that Instagram's algorithm presented a significant amount of explicit content, including videos featuring children in provocative situations, as well as overtly sexual adult content. In addition to these videos, the platform also displayed advertisements for major US brands. One example provided by the Wall Street Journal involved a stream of videos on Instagram that included an advertisement for a dating app, a video of someone interacting with a life-size latex doll in a suggestive manner, and a video of a young girl exposing her midriff by lifting her shirt. Another stream featured a commercial followed by a video of a man lying on a bed with his arm around a 10-year-old girl. The Canadian Centre for Child Protection conducted similar tests on Instagram and reported comparable findings, further supporting the concerns raised by the Wall Street Journal's investigation here. So in response, Meta stated that the test conducted by the outlets resulted in a manufactured experience that does not accurately represent what the majority of its billions of users see, which wasn't really a very convincing response. And then shortly after, several businesses decided to withdraw their advertising from Meta's platforms in response. And then just before Christmas, a lawsuit against Meta and Mark Zuckerberg was filed by New Mexico's Attorney General, Raul Torres, asserting that both Facebook and Instagram are leading children towards explicit content, even in the absence of any expressed interest. According to the civil suit, children are coerced by predators to share their photos or engage in very disturbing videos. Instead of offering secure environments for children that are iPad kids, Generation Alpha who are raised by these platforms, apps like Instagram are actually just facilitating the exchange of child disturbing content and the solicitation of minors for disturbing purposes. So why hasn't Meta done more to protect innocent children? If the lawsuit is to be believed, protections have been implemented due to the potential hit they would have on Meta's advertising revenue. and this has allowed Instagram to become a prime marketplace for predators in search of young children upon whom to prey. And Instagram, it seems, enables those who want to do harm, and harms the very ones that want to use the platform for fun. Moreover, when its algorithms aren't feeding content to potential predators, they're literally distorting the minds of young, impressionable users. As is clear to see, Instagram is regularly used to exploit innocent individuals, but it's also used by unscrupulous actors to exploit grief. You see, in 2019, Bianca Devins, a 17-year-old New Yorker, attended a concert with 21-year-old Brandon Clark. Tragically, she never made it back home. In the early hours of Sunday morning, Devins was brutally murdered, having her throat
There comes a time in every creator's life.
Dissected with a knife, and the images of Devon's lifeless body began to surface online shortly after, originating from Clark's Instagram account. These images included a photograph of her torso with a caption that read, "I'm sorry, Bianca," as well as a selfie of Clark lying on Devon's body. It took Instagram several hours to remove these distressing images, during which time they had already been shared extensively. Exploiting the situation, some individuals on social media shamelessly sought to gain followers and popularity by posting comments such as, "Follow me and DM." For the full video and picture, Clark, who was later charged with Devon's murder, experienced a surge in his social media following. And shockingly, according to a BBC report, certain twisted individuals even manipulated images of Devon's body to create repugnant memes. Users who tried to report these distressing images to Instagram's moderators claimed that their reports were dismissed. In the aftermath, Instagram faced severe criticism for its delayed response in addressing the images and for allowing users to exploit Devon's tragic death for personal gain. And this isn't an anomaly, as NBC recently reported, a new kind of sexualized content is flooding Instagram. Ads for sexually suggestive, scantily clad, dirty talking chatbots powered by AI. Dozens of tech startups, according to the report, are using Instagram to post explicit advertisements that promote not safe for work experiences. The ads promise not safe for work pics, custom pinup girls, and censor-free chats. Many of the ads feature digitally created potential girlfriends with large breasts and sexually provocative clothing. Some ads even use memes that include popular children's TV characters, such as SpongeBob SquarePants, Bart Simpson, or the Cookie Monster, to promote apps where people can create not safe for work pics. Others feature digitally created girls who appear to be teenagers or younger, sometimes in the style of anime. And Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, had dozens of developers who were displaying sexually explicit advertisements on their apps. Keep in mind that many of Instagram's users are as young as just 13 years old and possibly even much younger than this. Other studies have discovered that Instagram actually promotes dangerous weight loss trends amongst impressionable teen users. For example, one study found that when teenage girls interacted even briefly with content related to dieting, the Explore tab on Instagram would immediately start displaying images of individuals showcasing their pre- and post-weight loss journeys. Additionally, the Explore page would feature content focused on weight loss tips, exercise, and body sculpting. Notably, this material often presented individuals with noticeably slim body shapes, some of which appeared to be edited or distorted. Similar results were observed when replicating the experience for teenage boys. One study recreated the online behavior of a real 14-year-old boy, which ultimately resulted in its Instagram Explore tab being inundated with pictures of heavily edited and retouched models. In response to these findings, a spokesperson for Meta, the people that own Instagram, stating that the platform is already implementing measures to ensure the safety of teenagers, such as preventing adults from sending direct messages to teens who do not follow them. And this empty promise came just before the Wall Street Journal bombshell reports. And it is worth noting that even a single like has the potential to generate thousands of related content suggestions. Some of these suggestions have the backing of influential celebrities, and exploitative companies regularly appeared on the platform, selling supposedly miraculous weight loss products, often with endorsements from celebrities. For example, notable figures like the Kardashians and Cardi B have faced criticism for promoting detox teas and slimming lollipops. And it's well known that several of these products have detrimental effects on both the mental and physical health of mostly young women. But most of us already know this. Instagram has become a meme market. It is the ultimate dating tool. It's the place where people everywhere around the world come together and make the realities look perfect. The whole thing is fake and a facade, promoting our culture to become more plastic and fake itself. But one really crazy thing with Instagram isn't just the trafficking of people, but it's also a marketplace for the most depraved things you can even imagine. Things just as creepy and debauched as trafficking. You see, recently it's been found that Instagram is now a marketplace for things like human skulls and even babies. Yes, babies. And this is because Instagram is the home of a huge, highly legal black market, a place where you can bid on and purchase just about anything, even human skulls. In recent times, Instagram has provided a platform for a weird online community to emerge, consisting of a selected group of individuals who have a morbid interest in collecting human remains. Following eBay's prohibition on the sale of human body parts in 2016, traders have actually turned to Instagram, specifically so they can buy and sell human skulls, with some skulls being sold for as much as $20,000. In addition to skulls, Instagram is now serving as a platform for several illegal black markets, encompassing the trade of weapons, stolen artifacts, and even rare animals. However, unlike these illicit activities, the online sale of human remains does not technically violate any laws. Generally, bones are not considered property and therefore lack legal provenance. And although certain US states do impose legal restrictions on the skull market, traders have discovered that these laws are barely even enforced. But many of these skulls won't even be real, because Instagram is also the hub for scams. You see, as weird as it sounds, there's an increasing number of couples in the US who are now resorting to Instagram to adopt a baby. Due to the lengthy waiting list associated with traditional adoption agencies, prospective parents are now turning towards social media platforms. And while some couples have found success in this unconventional method, others have of course fallen victim to a heartless and psychologically distressing scam, where imposters take to Instagram and assume the identities of pregnant women, deceiving couples into believing that they will actually be able to adopt their babies. However, once the aspiring parents are emotionally invested, the scammers then vanish, leaving them devastated. In certain cases, these fraudsters have actually strung couples along for months, leading them to believe and convincing them they are going to welcome a beautiful newborn into their lives, only to abruptly shatter their hopes at the very last moment. Recently, YouTubers Dallin and Bella Lambert shared their experience of being victims of an adoption scam on Instagram. Dallin and Bella, who run the YouTube channel Della Vlogs, have gained a following of over 1.4 million subscribers by sharing pranks, challenges, and their daily lives. The couple had been trying to conceive a child for a long time, even undergoing fertility treatment in different countries, eventually making the decision to pursue adoption. But shortly after looking into Instagram as an option, they received a message from an individual claiming to be pregnant with twin baby girls and seeking adopted parents. Dallin and Bella asserted that they had numerous meetings with this woman, witnessed sonograms of the twins, attended birthing classes together, and commenced preparations for the baby's arrival by purchasing necessary items. However, after 2 months, they uncovered the truth that the woman had deceived them and was never actually pregnant. It was also revealed that she had been using Instagram to scam multiple families simultaneously. But even more disturbingly is that the app is actually selling babies in the first place. In 2020, 3 Iranian women were arrested after attempting to trade infants through the platform. One of these babies was only 20 days old, while the other was 2 months old. And these innocent children had already been purchased for a sum of just $500, and were then being resold at prices ranging from $2,000 to $2,500. And it's especially creepy when you know who's actually out there on Instagram using it for nefarious purposes. But selling humans is actually much more common when it comes to migrant workers, particularly women from Africa and Asia who are coerced into servitude as domestic workers from Instagram. You see, agents take advantage of Instagram to connect women with jobs that often lack proper documentation or guarantees of fair wages and working conditions. Numerous women who were promoted on Instagram shared their experiences of being treated as virtual captives and being compelled to work long hours for significantly less money than they were promised. One woman who arrived in Dubai after flying from Nairobi expected to start working as a maid right away. However, her recruitment agent drove her to a house in the outskirts of the city and confined her to a cramped room with 15 other women. She then remained there for several weeks, sleeping on the floor until the agent found her an employer through Instagram advertising. The Washington Post then examined her agent's accounts, which contained her photo as well as personal information such as her weight, nationality, and date of birth. An investigation into Instagram activity by the Post revealed more than 200 accounts seem to be involved in promoting women as maids in countries like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Numerous studies now show that teenagers and young adults who spend a significant amount of time on platforms like Instagram, as almost everyone does in Generation Z, almost always has a higher rate of reported depression compared to those who spend less time on it. And as we all know, we are the first generation to experience this. The first generation to be so lonely, to be so isolated, to have no friends, and increasingly rely on electronic connections via Instagram and the likes. Not to mention Instagram is one of the most invasive apps when it comes to harvesting all of your data. But we all know this by now. We all know how shady Mark Zuckerberg is. And considering that Instagram has at least 1 billion monthly active users, this is a really worrying trend that's only going to get worse with the rise of iPad kids. And only time will tell where Generation Alpha ends up.
Look guys, you enjoyed that video? You want to react more of those kinds of videos? Make sure you like and subscribe.